Hello, and welcome to Astromantics, the show where I talk about all the things. I was thinking about doing an episode on Aries today. One, because I am one, a lot of one, not a sun, but the moon and rising, which is like big, big parts of me. And I have realized something for a while now about Aries, and I'm hoping that this episode will help fellow Aries and fellow lovers of Aries to understand us a little bit better. That's what I'm hoping for. Um, so currently, Mars, who rules Aries, is the god of war, right? It is the god of open warfare. It's the god of I want to win. The whole goal of Mars is to get our desires accomplished, to initiate things that we see that need to be in the world, that need to be in the world, right? Like conquered and, initiating connections, right? We are initiators. We are like the match, right? The match that lights a candle, that lights a fire, that can, burn out of control sometimes. Or, um, yeah, just initiators. So I was just thinking about how Mars affects me personally, and I thought, you know what, I bet this would help other people with prominent Aries in their chart. And by prominent Aries, I mean if you have a sun, moon, or rising, those are big three Aries, big three, right? That will really affect an Aries person. If you have a Mercury or a Venus, and especially a Mars in Aries, this is for you as well, because those are personal planets, and personal planets really tend to show up in the native's life. Um, so Aries, wherever Mars is, especially if you're an Aries rising, right? Aries rising, Mars becomes the ruler of your chart. I am an Aries rising. Mars becomes the ruler of my chart, right? So that means wherever Mars is in the transits will have a direct effect on me. If you have Aries rising, then Mars will have a direct effect on you. And if you are a lover of an Aries rising, then you will notice your partner maybe becoming a little more Marsy, a little more combative, a little more competitive. I notice it mostly in my tone, the way my tone comes out to others. And I have seen this over and over again that no matter how hard I try to soften my tone, it just comes out as aggressive. And not like, oh my God, like super fighty aggressive. It's just like it comes out as like to others. I can feel it. I can feel others hearing my tone as combative. Um, right? I can hear others receiving my tone as, and I can tell because the look on their faces sometimes, like specifically my husband's face or my children's faces, mostly my husband's face, where I can see a shutdown sort of, oh, this is what's happening kind of thing. And I'll be like, oh, I know what's doing that. It's that Mars. And I'd love to say it's a cop out, like, no, 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 no. Everyone can learn to control their tone, which is true. Uh, but it there is an effect, an unavoidable effect that Mars will have on you, Aries. And so it's something to surrender to accept, and to know about yourself. So, what I've learned to do over time, when I know that I'm getting like forceful and I know there's no call for it, there's no cause for it other than the transit, right? When I see that, I know that to apologize verbally, vocally, make it known that my tone is stronger than I want it to be, right? It is not you, it is me. So, Aries, own your tone, right? And by tone, what do I mean? So, this is sort of a fun little backstory for me. When I was growing up, my grandmother, a Pisces sun, Aries Venus, I grew up with her, right? And so I would be around her. And my grandfather was an Aries sun, right? So an Aries Venus is going to attract an Aries sun, as well as other Aries placements, right? So when my grandfather would come home and he'd be like grumpy, right? And it was audible to everyone in the room, like, he is grumpy, he is complaining, his tone does not sound happy. And it's nothing that anybody did to him from the home, from where we were. It was stuff that maybe happened to him while he was at work, and to make him come home and feel grumpy, right? And he'd come home, and I remember my grandmother saying, Jerry, can't you hear the tone in your voice? And I'd be like, totally, grandma. That's totally what's going on, grandpa. Like, I would think that in my head, like, damn, she's picking up on that. And we'll talk about Aries Venus too in a minute, but still, it was really interesting, that. And now that I've grown, now that I'm older and I understand astrology, I understand probably what was going on for him was the transits. Mars was probably having a big effect on him, and he did not realize the tone that was going on. Now, when she called it out, right, then he understood, and there would be like this huge bucket, like, like he didn't want to hear that, but still, it was really, he would definitely hear that, like, oh, my tone is an issue right now. So Mars and its transit has effect on our tone as Aries, the way things come out of our mouths. Now, you may not feel like you are doing anything wrong. And indeed, you're kind of not, because it's the effect that is being done to you, right? It feels like it's happening to you, not that you are doing on purpose. But just because that is true does not mean that it gives you license to be an asshole. That it gives you license, to be a meanie, and to make others feel defensive and bad, right? So I'm calling that out only because I have to call it out in myself. So Aries wants to be open, direct, and honest. It wants to go the shortest route, right? All fire signs have an appreciation for truth telling, right? All fire and air signs, Aquarius really wants to be authentic, but there's something about being authentically true, right? You seeing myself, me, my passions. You can't not see the passion of a fire sun, moon, rising. Aries, the benefit there is they can get like really quick, but then they just as quickly receive back, right? Because Mars loves a good competition. Aries Mars loves a good competition. They don't really want to go against someone who they're better than. They love to win. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want to stroke an Aries ego, tell them how winning they are. Tell them how much you've changed their mind. Tell them that when no one else could get through to them, you did, especially an Aries Venus. They friggin' love that, right? So know that they like competition. They like good competition, right? They're not actually looking to hurt your feelings. Hello, water signs, hear me now. Your Aries people in your life, sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they are not trying to hurt your feelings. Water suns, water moons, water risings. They are just trying to um, have fun. There's a fun element to competition. Aries, realize that your water sun peeps are not super into competition the way you are. Their feelings get hurt, right? You and I, two Aries, right? Or other fire signs, other air signs, we can roll with it. We can be like, oh, bitch, I got you. And then have it back like, bitch, you did not, oh, bitch, I'm coming back, like there is this sense of camaraderie with good competition. We are fans of a good move. Coming, right? Like that's a Aries thing. So we love that, but Aries understand they are definitely not gonna receive it in the same way that you are giving it. Fire and water makes steam though, right? And what is steam? It is an air, right? It becomes an air. So it can generate new forms of intelligence, new thoughts, new forms of enlightenment. So that can be a comforting thought, right? So that even though you may be having friction, your fire is coming against their water and it makes a tss, right? Putting that fire out, adding that fire, right? Right? View that as, oh, there's an opportunity to be enlightened here rather than taking offense and taking sort of the shadow side. So that is a little sort of thought or tidbit to keep in your mind if you have water signs around you. Um, all right, so back to Aries. Aries suns are very competitive, and there is a component of jealousy implicit with your Aries suns, right? Your Aries placements because of that competition. They feel threatened if they feel like they can't win or they're going to lose, right? And no Aries, especially Aries Venus, wants to lose their partner, their person. Um, and also, Aries Venuses have a hard time. Okay, if they feel like they're going to lose their sexy partner, it can make them a little bit more jealous and it can ignite them into um, being more sexual, right? Because Mars owns sex, Mars is fighting and fucking, right? So it makes them want to be the best. So, in some way, it kind of compels them to get their person back by being better at sex than or being better than the any person could ever be for their person, right? So it can be sort of you know, a goading, right? Yeah, a goading of some way that for an Aries Venus to experience feeling like they're in competition with another person over their beloved, if you will. Aries Venus is not like pathetic. So apologizing does not come natural for an Aries Venus. Instead, there can be a bit of a defensiveness sometimes to an Aries Venus because they don't want to feel like they're not winning. Also, rules of engagement. This is another thing about Aries. Aries wants to know the rules, right? The rules of engagement. What are the rules here? How do I win, essentially? How do I do well? If you don't want to think about it as winning, how do I do well? And if they feel like somebody's cheating, right? If they feel like somebody's working outside the rules, Aries will get pissed. You will not see a more pissed Aries than when someone is breaking the rules, right? This could also be why a lot of like law enforcement can have Aries placements, right? Because keep the rules, right? And I will fight you and cut you if you're not keeping the rules, right? I think female Aries can be even more cutty sometimes because they're like, bitch, no. But so your Aries is a feisty one. She is a spirited one, right? He is one who likes to win, right? They are one that like to know the rules of engagement and they like to be bold. So there is a boldness that comes with Aries because it's that initiator, right? When everyone else doesn't want to go first, Aries raises their hand and they're like, take me in. I'm in, coach, right? Because there is that, ooh, I've never done this before. I want to try this. I want to do this, right? So there is this boldness. Sometimes Aries likes to wear red lipstick, right? They'll like to wear bold things, bold colors. What? No. But yeah, boldness is associated. Impulsiveness. Sometimes I'll get a thought and I'll text a person just as I'm like thinking of them. And if I'm trying to move away from doing that, move away from initiating conversation because the person isn't responding. And that's another thing, right? If an Aries texts you, they expect a response real quick. So because Mars is looking for rules of engagement, right? Mars is looking to win, Mars is looking to initiate the win, right? When Mars initiates a conversation with a person, the expectation is that person will get back to them quickly as they get back. You will notice that if you text an Aries, they respond within seconds. usually, unless they're trying to get out of a relationship with you, and then they'll like get angry if you text them, you know, or maybe not get angry, they'll just, not respond. But Aries is quick and they expect quick back. Now, Aries, I'm going to talk to you. If you text someone or message someone and they don't respond right away, it's not because they're mad at you. Aries will think that something is wrong if the person they are messaging or texting or trying to communicate and reach out to, if they don't respond, they think something's wrong, right? They think that the person doesn't care, right? But Aries, that's not true. It is just that they don't have Aries like you have, right? And it's going to test your patience. Aries is not great at patience at all, right? It is something that in this life we are tasked to have to learn, right? Aries, if you have Aries in your chart, a part of your thing in this world is to learn patience, right? If you have a North Node in Aries, your karmic debt is to learn patience, is to not get your way when you want it, to learn how to breathe, to learn how to slow down, to learn, right? And what puts out fire then? Air. Air can blow it out, or it can create a wildfire. If you've got more than one person involved, we can create a political wildfire. You know what I mean? That's a possible thing. But Aries, breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, can really, really help out an Aries, I find. Now, let's say that you are the beloved of an Aries and your Aries tone is curt. Sounds a little aggro, right? A little bit like, okay, I got some fire. There's some fire on that tone there, on them words, right? Or they want something now. They want a response now, right? A way that you can let them know without getting them to engage in a fight with you, or a way to turn away that fire that's coming at you. A way to do that is if you communicate how you're feeling, because remember, water can put out fire, right? Intellect, air, logic can also put out a fire, right? So if you, and earth can really put out a fire, right? Um, so something that my husband, early days when we were married, would tell me if I was coming at him and I had the expectation of answering me now, and he wasn't in the mood to answer or didn't have an answer for me, and I want an answer right now, right? Something that he would tell me is he would say, I feel like I'm afraid of your response to me. I feel like I could, anywhere I respond to you right now will be met with frustrating you, right? Or he would just say, I feel afraid of your response, and he would say it in a gentle tone. Now, this is important. Say it in a gentle tone, right? If you come at them like, I don't want to answer you right now, right? That is not going to deflate or de escalate the situation, right? What de escalates is your calmness to their fireness, right? Your calm air to their fireness, right? And communicating that feeling, that is the water coming in, right? When you're communicating your feelings, it makes me feel this way. And you're saying it in a non defensive, non combative tone. If you can do that, then you will de escalate your Aries, right? Is it your responsibility to? No, but do you want to live with an Aries who is being combative? Do you want everyone around you to feel uncomfortable because your ass can't let it go, because your ass can't calm it down? You know what I mean? No, right? So if you want to be the wise one, right? You want to be the sage to your Aries beloved, and that is beloved, right? So if you're dealing with an Aries that you love, then you want to de escalate because you love them. You don't want to see them in that state of mind, right? So, a good way to de escalate is say how you feel in a calm tone, or tell them how they are making you feel in a calm tone. And Aries doesn't want to make their partner, their beloved, their parent, their child, doesn't want to make them feel um worse. Do you know what I mean? So, if you can help at all, this is how you help. Now, don't take on the responsibility of, making your Aries be different, be patient, be anything, right? They have to own their own feelings and you have to own yours. I am giving information and wisdom on what has worked with me, a double Aries, rising and moon, right? What has worked with me, right, in the past. Playfulness can also help with your Aries. I will often sort of make fun of myself, right, when I am being obviously angsty. I know, I hear my tone. I know it's happening, right? And I'll be like, "Oh man, I just wanna answer, like." So if you can, I'll add that Sag vibe, another fire, but it's a mutable fire, so it can, sort of, it's the cold of the fire, at the end. So Aries lights the match, Leo maintains that starts a bonfire. Leo maintains the bonfire, and then Sagittarius is the coals that if you add wood to it, if you add fuel to it, it'll burn bright again, right? Or if you don't pay attention to it, if you don't add to it, then it will just burn out, right? That's a Sagittarius. So if you make light of it, it gives sort of that space and that room to burn out, smolder out into those coals, right? So if you can, sort of make fun of yourself, Aries, add a Sag vibe to it, a comedic vibe. Nothing disarms anger like comedy. Nothing. How can you be mad at someone who's being kind back to you, right? You can't. You're like, damn, I'm defeated. That could be an Aries Achilles heel, a Sagittarius. If they are joking with you, right? Or if you are joking with them, that's pretty amazing to be able to do, right? That will disarm, that will take the AR-15 right out of the Aries hands, right? So making jokes. Now, don't joke at them. So, Aries, you make fun of yourself. Aries, beloved, do not make fun of your Aries. Do not make fun of your Aries. That will not go well for you. That will not de escalate. If they, your Aries person, makes fun of themselves first, then you can kind of engage with it with caution. You don't want to come back in and combat again. You know what I mean? But if you can engage with them, right, in a way that like you can laugh with them, right, that will go a long way to de escalating that otherwise airy situation. Um, so yeah, I was just thinking about Aries. So Mars has been in the sign of Taurus. Mars doesn't love being in Taurus because it's a Venus sign. Venus wants peace and harmony. Mars wants to win, which is sort of anti antithesis to Venus's wanting to harmonize. So Mars can sometimes get a little more stifled, can feel stifled in a Venusian ruled sign. So Mars in Libra and Mars in Taurus, they can feel unheard, like their desires, their wants, their needs are unheard because they're not forceful, because it's harder for them to be direct, because they can't be, desirous, right? It's harder for them to share or to be assertive, right? So be aware of that if you have a Mars in Taurus or a Mars in Libra. And be aware of that if you have a lover or a beloved who has that, right? They may feel unheard sometimes because it's harder for them to be forceful in your face. So keep that in mind. Something else. So Mars affecting you. So Mars transits. So pay attention here. If you're an Aries, Sun, Moon, Rising, Mercury, Mars, Venus, know that when Mars is in fire signs, Sagittarius, Leo, Aries, you may have more pep. This may want you to go to the gym more, right? This is get out that aggression more. This is go and get out and sweat, right? Sweating is excellent for Aries. if you can get up and go, right? So keep in mind that when Mars is transiting over a fire sign, it's in trine to your Aries, which gives you an ease. It gives you an ease with being a go-getter. It gives you an ease with competition. It gives you an ease with winning. So you can trample over people. So keep that in mind. If you want to be more powerful, you want to ask for a promotion, you want to go on a marathon, you run something, win at any kind of competition. When Mars is in a fire sign, say hell yes to that, because you're going to have extra oomph, extra passion, extra fire. Now, understand that that can also come to your home when you want to be in a more calm place. So, understand that it might give you a little more bite, right? But usually, because it's in a trine, it's just giving you more awareness of your passions, of the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to do. It can give you like power to like go after and win whatever war you are fighting, right? It can give you the gumption to do so. So if you need to break something off, Mars severs. If you need to break something off, when Mars is transiting a fire sign, that is an excellent time to cut off what's not helping you, what's not serving you. Excellent time. If Mars is in an air sign, right, that's going to be sextiling, right? Yeah, sextiling your Mars, right? Your Aries sign, right? So Mars is in Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. It's going to change the flavor or the intellect, the way. It's going to give you more intelligence on the way that you go about your fight. It's going to give you more intelligence, more wisdom. It's also going to give you more spreading power. So if you want to spread an idea, that's going to infect others, if you will, or spread some kind of forest fire, spread some kind of passion. When Mars is transiting an air sign, it can give you the capacity to do that, right? Because air travels at the speed of air, wind, breath, right? So know that you might have more passion about your intellectual pursuits, right? Writing a book, um, giving a speech, being on a stage somewhere. Um, I mean, it can work for a fire too, like being in a fire sign, but when Mars is in a fire sign and an air sign, um, it gives us more ability to share our passions intellectually, right? When it's there. So keep in mind that your speech and people may be perceiving you as passionate, which is a good thing. When I'm like feeling passionate, right? I'll be like, oof, I don't know how to describe it. Like I can change the heart and mind of a person. I have the capacity to help a person feel immensely better about their situation, to inspire. Aries, you inspire change and the desire to win, right? You inspire people. When people feel down and out, your ass can come in and help them to be like, come on, soldier, let's go, right? Like that's an Aries way. They don't deal with things usually by crying. They might get frustrated before they tear up because that's just the way we roll. We just get like, I can do this, right? We get like, hell yeah. You can pump yourself up, you can pump others up. It is a massive gift that you have, Aries, right? A massive gift that you have. Bump, bump, bump. So revel in that. Know that you have that superpower. When someone's feeling down, you've got the capacity to help them up. Unless they have a lot of water or earth in their chart, then that might feel like an endless pursuit. Like it doesn't matter what I say, that person's gonna be sad. I don't know how to cry with them. Because Aries views crying as, why are you crying? Book up and get going, right? Like just do it. So don't go to your Aries friends if you want someone to cry with you. We're not. In fact, we try not to cry. We'll be like, I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry, right? Because we don't really love crying. It's who we are, how we are. It's not that we don't cry, it's that we don't prefer that. We prefer to go to the gym, we prefer to punch a bag, you know? That's what we prefer to do. Um, and so what was the last thing I was thinking about? Oh yeah, so when Mars is in water signs, when Mars, and there's a caveat here. So Mars and water signs, remember we've got that hot fiery with that well, in ancient times, Mars was also the ruler of Scorpio. Scorpio is gives also sort of an intensity. Mars gives intensity. Scorpio is known for their intensity, and in ancient times it ruled that sign. Now, where they differ is Mars in Aries is like open, direct, honest, boom, we go. We shoot now and we ask questions later. We're in the war. Mars in Scorpio is the sniper, the wait, the patient, right? The more patient of the two Marses, right? Because it will wait until it has a winning shot and then it takes its shot, right? It can be patient and plan its revenge for a very long time. It doesn't have the same impatience issue that Aries has. So when Mars is in Scorpio, it can give you more power maybe to talk to your fellow water signs. You know, if you have a water partner, water parent, water child, when Mars is in Scorpio, it can help maybe dial back that intensity or have that emotional understanding that maybe you don't normally have. It can also give you gumption too, that when Mars is in Scorpio, that laying in wait, waiting for the right moment to say the right thing so that somebody understands you. Um, so that's like a positive thing. Mars has its fall in Cancer. So when Mars is in Cancer, you can expect yourself to feel maybe more moody. More, you may feel more like a tidal wave, right? Right. So you might feel more moody. So when Mars is it is in the sign of Cancer, you can expect maybe your Aries person to be less passionate, maybe a little struggle a little more with depression in some ways, because all that water is sitting heavy on your Aries person. So, and then Mars in Pisces can also make a Mars person more passive and less feeling like I want to get up and go. It will fight for creativity though, Mars and Pisces. So know that you may have less passion, less ease with being passionate. Uh, you know, less ease with exercising, less ease with inspiring others. You know, could be also a thing with when Mars transiting is in the water signs. When Mars is in the earth signs, again, you have the capacity to put some earth on that fire. So you can put earth on the fire, which might be good. It could make you maybe feel more cool, calm, and collected during those times. You may run into when it's in the water. Okay, so when it's in a water or an earth sign, we're in a square, right? We're in a friction. It can cause when fire and earth get together, I think of like lava, right? That is fiery earth that moves and will, when it cools and dries, make a more permanent, stable island. It can make whole ass islands. It makes continents, right? So, yes, are you moving more slow than you want to? Yes. Right? Are you destroying things? Yes, you are destroying things, right? But it can make new ground, right? Um, Fire and water makes that air, makes intellect, right? Makes enlightenment. So when those squares come and that friction comes and you have that sort of frustration or frustration from others, know that in that moment, the universe is pushing on you to be enlightened, right? To make steam. Know that the universe is helping you to create land, new land, awesome land, right? Know that that's a part of what's going on. So when you feel that pressure and you feel like you want a Merkovich, right? Know that that's an opportunity to get enlightened, to level the fuck up, right? Know that that's a part of what's going on right there in that moment, which is wonderful. So dealing with your Aries person, If you have water and earth in your chart, know that you can put out your Aries person's fire. And that may be good or not good, right? Maybe don't put it out all the way. Maybe put it out all the way. But just know that they're passionate. You know, they love to start things. There is no place that an Aries can't start a conversation. Like Aries loves to start. We can be in a line at the store and start a competition. In fact, there was this one time where it was about to snow here, and all the stores were going to be closed, or we wouldn't be able to get to stores, right? And so the lines at the grocery store were insanely long, right? It was like, oh my God, insanely long. And I chose the checkout person who I knew would be the quickest because I had been to the grocery store. So I knew that the line I was in, that my checker was much faster than the other checkers. And even though she had the longer line, I was like, I bet I get there faster. And so I looked at the person in the line next to me because everyone's frustrated, right? No one wants to wait in a friggin' line, right? While you're trying to get your groceries and trying to get out of there, and everybody's grouchy, right? And so people are huffing everywhere. And so I used my Aries to incite some friendly competition. I guess I looked at the people on the lines on either line inside of me, and I said, I bet I get to the checkout line before you two do. And I add a smile that disarms, right? Add a kindness. And it was awesome. It just started this you know, competitive, but like a friendly, funny competitive, not a competitive, you know. It was like you can choose in that moment to be like bitchy, or you can be like, oh hey, let's initiate something fun, you know, let's initiate a better way to deal with this. So Aries, you have the power to do that. You have the power to initiate something fun rather than initiating something, you know, grouchy and irritating, right? If you are feeling grouchy and irritated, you know, if you can remind, just add that perspective. I mean, or tell yourself, I'm going to give myself 5 minutes of yelling and freak out in the car. As an Aries, I know it's unavoidable. It is unavoidable to feel an immense amount of frustration. It's something that's going to happen, right? So know that about yourself. And then when you are feeling frustrated, if you can verbalize to others, hey, it's not you, it's me. My tone, I know my tone is coming out rough. I apologize for that if you're trying not to murk a bitch, you know what I mean? Um, or if you notice that a person's responding to you with frustrated manner, know that, okay, in my body, this is how it feels. When I'm about to engage in a conversation with someone who's an authority figure over me, first of all, for me, it makes it harder for me to fight with them because of my Saturn placements. And I have a Saturn ruled sun. So fighting authority is a challenge for me. So that's where mine is. But so Aries, when you know you're about to engage in some sort of altercation, a fight, a something, and you feel it building, I will feel it building. I'll start to sweat. I can feel the sweat starting to happen in my armpits, right? Between my knees, you know, if I have them folded in my elbows, right? All the heat spaces. I feel it start to happen. And then there's another thing that starts to happen. I feel my body start to sort of tremble, right? I'm trembling with frustration. And I don't notice it in the moment so much unless I turn my direction towards it, because it's easy to just, you know, roll with the fight, right? And I feel like almost I'll hear sometimes too, like a roaring of fire almost in my ears. I don't know how to describe it, but it sounds kind of like that. And that's probably to block out things because Mars wants to win, right? So it's gonna to block out so that you can win the conversation, the argument, the fight, if you will, right? So I'll feel that. And I just like feel this trembling, and I feel something in my gut too. My gut will feel also like a sense of tremble, a tightness. It'll tighten up physically. Um, and it like it's getting ready to engage. in battle in some way, right? I want to win. Now, if you're engaging in something where the fight is expected, then those things can be beneficial. They have the power to block out everything and you're just going to go for it. But if it's something that you don't want because you love the person, you know what I mean? And then you want a good outcome, not a frustrating outcome, then keep in mind those things. Am I starting to sweat? Is my body trembling? Is my gut tightening? If you have the wherewithal to look at those things, pay attention to those things, right? If you can do that, then you'll be ahead of the game to controlling the fight because you'll be in control of yourself. Um, is fight necessary? I mean, obviously, right? There's sometimes a necessity to fight. I personally am on the fence about that though. I've never been in a situation where I am verbally fighting someone and it ended well and I felt good when I left, right? Sometimes did it need to be said? Yes. Is the person likely to listen to you if it's fighty and take the wisdom? No, they're less likely to go, huh, you know what I mean? If what you want is to change the other person's mind, you want to get them into a space, not a well, fuck you space, right? Because that doesn't have an open feeling, that has a closed feeling. So maybe that's another thing that you can keep in mind. Do I have an open feeling or a closed feeling, right? So keeping that in mind as well. How am I feeling, open or closed off? Do I feel expansive, closed off, right? Those are things to keep in mind. Um, yeah. So I'm on the fence with it. Is fighting ever really a good thing? I've never felt good about it. Even when I've won arguments in my own mind, the person is never, I don't recall the person ever. A person has only thanked me for a fight when I kept my cool, calm, and collected, right? When I went, okay, you're starting to feel those ways, right? You can postpone, put a pin in that conversation. It doesn't have to be done right now, even though you feel the impulsivity, right? It doesn't have to be done right now. You can put a pin in it, and when you want to come back to it later, you can come back to it later, right? You can verbalize and say, ooh, this is pushing my buttons right now. I'm noticing my buttons. Can we talk about this later? You know what I mean? Make sure you talk about it later though, because just brushing it under the rug is not going to heal that action. Um, so if you can, postpone it till later so you can cool down and come back to it. But what needs to happen, so I've only noticed a win, a real win, when I come at it with wisdom, when I add air to it, when I add my water, when I add all of my senses to it. If I am just trying to hit a person, that rarely seems to, not that it's impossible. I do know people who have fought physically. I've noticed it mostly in masculine people. When they fight physically, there can be a respect afterwards, right? So it's not impossible. It's not something I personally like to do, but it's not impossible, right? I'm not quite sure of all the circumstances that make that happen that could make two people do that, but that's, yeah, just a thought. So it's not impossible. It's not the worst thing, right? You don't want to 100% villainize the fight because fighting can be helpful, but it can also destroy whole ass countries, bitches. It can destroy whole ass relationships just because you didn't wait, right? Just because you let your frustration overcome and overtake you. Because two leaders couldn't control the Aries asses when they came together to try and have a conversation. Now it's war. Oh, really? Really? You know what I mean? Like, think about that, please, before you get other people involved in your fight. Is it your fight? Is it everyone's fight? You can start a wildfire, Aries. You could start a whole damn forest fire with one match. So please be aware of the power that you have to instigate a fight. And be aware of the power that you have to instigate motivation, to instigate desire, to instigate and initiate conversation. You can also initiate healing, right? Be aware that you have that insane power too. What kind of fire are you gonna light today? Is it gonna be one of healing? Is it gonna be one of passion to keep going, right? Or is it gonna be one that destroys, right? And the power of destruction can be good, right? And covering up things and initiating healing that way can be bad, right? Talk to your highest self. You have Aries. Oh my gosh, this could be a helpful thing for Aries. And I'll do this sometimes too, where I'll sort of meditate, breathe, maybe take in 3 deep breaths, breathe out your mouth, and then picture talking to your Mars, right? Picture talking to that part of you, that God of War part of you. And then being like, is this a battle we can win? Is this a battle we should win, right? Is this, talk to that inner self, right? Talk to that inner God of War. Where is this coming from? You know what I mean? Is this good destruction? Is this bad destruction? Um, and you don't have to do that while you're in the middle of fighting with someone. I don't recommend doing that. I mean, unless you can, but I couldn't do that. But maybe in your own downtime, your own quiet time, have a talk with your inner Aries self, inner God of War. Have that conversation. What ignites us, right? Wherever that conversation flows for you. But yeah, understand you have the power to destroy. And you have the power to, in that destruction, make way for new life. Aries is spring, right? That's when Aries is. Aries is April, May, right? End of April. No, it's March, May. End of March. Yeah, not March, May. Oh my gosh. End of March, March 21st to April 21st. That's Aries season. So it's spring. It initiates new life. It can bring new life forth, right? From things that look dead. You can bring forth life. So you are a powerful force, Aries. I'm proud of you for all the ways in which you are self-aware, in the ways that you have grown, in the ways that you are so good at lifting people's spirits. Thank you for lifting people's spirits. Thank you for fighting the good fight. Yeah. So this has been about Aries. And I will talk to you later. All right. Bye.